so much for this opportunity. It's indeed a great pleasure to be a part of this learned gathering for also teachers like me in higher education institutions who are in the pursuit of excelling themselves and be the best version of themselves. With this small intro, I would like to share some of my experiences, some of the vital informations which has been studied as case studies over a period of time, and that would give us a little piece of information how we could develop ourselves further. Just give me a second for the screen to be shared. A teacher leader thinks beyond the walls of the classroom to what their impact can be. And all of us do that too. The best chance of sustainable, meaningful change only happens with a strong teacher leadership. Today, an effective and a successful leader can become a teacher without an appointment, simply through an earned recognition. A wise building leader will recognize the potential that is budding in his or her faculty and provide encouragement and development for those who have demonstrated this potential. In today's educational context, institutions are becoming dynamic systems that demand change and accountability simultaneously at the breakneck speed. Educational institutions need an empowered workforce with leaders at every level and really in every classroom. Allowing teacher expertise to be acknowledged and become a component of the resources offered is an emerging skill for building leaders and for building leadership capacity at a time when this is desperately needed. We often hear stories of some individual teacher or headmaster in a remote government school doing wonders by producing excellent results. A particular teacher becomes very famous and he or she is highly respected by the society. Essentially, the teacher eventually becomes a leader. Although leadership can take different forms in different roles, there are very many qualities of a leader which overlaps across all fields and theory. The main important field is that it affects all others in society is education. Teachers can make a difference in the lives of the students by implementing key leadership qualities. In order to set the right example for the students, teachers should build the teaching practice upon a solid foundation of leadership. In fact, all those who pursue careers in educational environment, including but not limited to teachers alone, can have this practice, can approach their positions as leaders in education. Since leadership is a way of being, leaders in different educational roles can make a difference by setting the right example for the students they impact. Leadership skills are essential for teachers in higher education institutions. Not only play a crucial role in shaping educational experience, but also contribute to the overall success and advancements of the institution. To just quote few leaders who had been teachers and who were successful is one Mr. C.N.R. Rao, who had been from the Indian Institute of Science. He's a globally acclaimed chemist and an iconic figure. For several decades, he has taught chemistry as his main subject. He extends leadership beyond the classroom and has held numerous leadership positions in Indian science and research institutions. And he was awarded Bharat Ratna too. Dr. Raghuram Rajan is again one renowned teacher in higher education institution, even though he had been the Governor of Reserve Bank of India, had keen research interest and deep insights in the economic welfare of our country, was able to influence economic policy discussions in our country. Dr. Tharoor, known for his ardent vocabulary, was a well-known author, diplomat and a politician, initially started his career as a teacher in St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. We all know what is his leadership arena, and he was a prominent member of parliament and advocate for various social and educational causes. Again, to add along with him, we have Dr. Mashilkar, the National Chemical Laboratory, distinguished chemical engineer, who was known for the significant contributions in the field of science and innovation. We have Anil Kakode, a person belonging to the Baba Atomic Research Center, who had been a pioneer in nuclear energy and security programs. Just to give this as a glimpse, we try to understand these educators have demonstrated outstanding leadership qualities in their respective fields and have made significant contributions to the academia, research, and to the broader society in India. Their achievements serves as an examples of how higher education teachers can influence not only their students but also nation's development and progress. So, everyone who remembers his own education remembers his teachers, not the methods or the techniques. The teacher is the heart of the educational system. And I believe and I hope all of you are one such teacher who is remembered forever. Successful leaders in higher educational institutions require a diverse set of skills to navigate the complex and dynamic landscape of academia. These skills encompass both traditional capabilities and those specific to education sector. Successful leaders, again, in an educational institution possess a combination of these skills and continuously work to develop and refine them. Adaptability and willingness to learn and grow are also key factors in navigating the ever-changing landscape of higher education. Teachers who aspire to be successful leaders in higher education institutions need a unique set of skills that blend their expertise in teaching and research with leadership abilities suited to academic settings. Teachers who cultivate these skills can make a significant contribution to their institutions, fostering an environment of academic excellence, innovation, and student success. Whether it could be a formal leadership position or an informal leadership role, these skills enable teachers to have a positive impact on higher education institutions. Here are some key leadership skills that are particularly relevant for teachers in higher education. Effective communication. Teachers should be able to communicate clearly and effectively with students, colleagues, and administrators. Strong communication helps in conveying complex ideas, providing feedback, and fostering a positive learning environment. When we talk about pedagogical leadership, being a leader in teaching and learning involves staying current with current educational trends. Innovative teaching methodologies have to be adopted, best practices have to be used. Teachers should be able to adapt the teaching approaches to meet the diverse needs of their students. Collaboration. When we speak about collaboration, that is very essential and crucial in higher education. Teachers should be able to work with colleagues both within and outside the department, develop and implement curriculum, assessment methods, and research projects. Mentorship. This is a key area where today most of us as teachers play a very efficient and effective role. Effective teachers often take on mentorship role for students and junior faculty. This involves guiding and supporting others in their academic as well as the professional development. When we speak about innovation, Today, leaders in higher education are often those who are coined as people who introduce innovative ideas and technologies into their teaching system. This may involve using new teaching tools, experimenting with active learning techniques, or incorporating online resources. As teachers, we are quick and adaptable to any situation. That is one of the predominant quality as teachers we cultivate over a period of time. And since because this higher education is constantly evolving and leaders need to be adaptable to change, which always throws light on development of new methods, technologies, and curricular adjustments. Another skill which is more essential is problem solving. As a teacher, we should be able to adapt and identify and address challenges that arise in the classroom or within the institution. As teachers, we should be able to analyze problems, develop solutions, and implement changes effectively. To go further, empathy and cultural competence. Understanding understanding and valuing diverse perspectives and backgrounds is essential for higher education. We should be empathetic to understand the need of a diverse student body and foster inclusivity. We should also play a prominent role, or we should acquire that skill of research and scholarship. Many higher institutions prioritize research and scholarship. Leaders in academia are often those who contribute significantly in their field through research and publications. In some context, previous case studies, what has been dealt, they prove that teachers in higher education institutions may also be taking up administrative roles in the process of their tenure in organizations. So, effective leadership in the context involves understanding institutional policies, financial management, and decision-making process. One other area where we need to play a vital role is about conflict resolution. Conflicts can arise in educational setting as you have a diverse students in it. Leaders as teachers should have the skill to address conflicts constructively, whether these conflicts arise between students or colleagues or within the same institution where we are a part of it. Strategic thinking is one skill as teachers who are global leaders should possess. We are or we should be able to think strategically, plan for a long-term goal and vision of the institution. We are also supposed to participate in the strategic planning process, which will contribute and it will help us to navigate through the institution's mission. As leaders in teachers, we have to have this predominant quality of time management, balancing teaching, research, administrative duties, and personal life can be challenging. Effective time management skills are crucial for maintaining a healthy work-life balance. We have to be ethical in deciding things inside the organization. We have to uphold ethical standards and serve as role models for students and colleagues, which will enable us to make decisions that prioritize the best interest of students and the institution. Self-reflection and continuous improvement is a part of our activity, the day-to-day activity, as it will help us in constantly improving us with the best practices we see and we try to improve ourselves and develop ourselves confidently. Developing these leadership skills can help teachers excel in the roles with higher education institutions because They largely contribute to the success of the students and make positive contribution to the institution's mission and goals of the organization. These are some traits, as we have seen. Skill is something which we acquire over a period of time. Trait is normally inherent or maybe it could be developed. A teacher should possess few traits. What kind of traits or qualities should leaders have in the field of higher education? Knowing which traits are part of being an effective leader can help ensure that we focus on developing them. We might possess some of the qualities, but keeping in mind there is always a room to grow and improve. These qualities of successful educational leader include passionate about their work. Effective leaders in higher education have a passion for the work they do, which might include helping teachers or students improve their performance or setting goals for the institution as a whole. These leaders who are passionate about their work put their skills and expertise, which they have gained over a period of years, into practice to benefit the institution or the people who are responsible for. They also understand there is a need to continue learning and growing in order to keep them as good leaders, whether you work as a senior person or as a junior faculty. If you are really passionate about the work you do, you enjoy challenges and also a rewarding career in higher education. Lead by example. As teachers, being also a good leader means setting a good example for others. Your actions and behaviors as a leader should inspire and motivate others, whether you are a teacher, you are managing students, or managing your own colleagues, or managing many people inside an organization. Leading by example rather than by rank or title can help you build trust with students and staff to earn that respect. This might mean showing that you're willing to listen to others, even if they have an issue with the leadership, or taking responsibility when you make a mistake. When you set as a good example for others, they are much more likely to listen to you and work as a team when needed. Teachers are good planners. People who work in higher education must be organized and should have the ability to develop a short-term or a long-term goal. This involves being a good planner, which is commonly found quality among excellent and effective leaders. Depending on our specific responsibilities on the job, we might have to have a smaller goal to accomplish or a much larger objective to develop or work towards. We all need to have this plan, which is done on our own or sometimes collaborated with our colleagues to determine whether what are the needs to be done and how to accomplish these goals. They are driven to help others. Effective leaders in an education system not focus on power or authority that comes with the role, such as telling others what to do, how to do. In fact, these leaders have a strong desire to help others. Those who work with different institutions, the leadership roles tend to focus on helping others in different ways, such as inspiring students to work in areas of improvement or helping colleagues to receive a training required to achieve their goal. This desire to help others plays an important role in establishing trust and respect as a leader. As teachers, we have to develop strong connections. The most effective leader have the ability to develop strong connections with others, including students or staff that they lead or manage. as well as with colleagues or peers. These leaders who have this quality need to build and encourage connection among students and employees, such as interpersonal skills and communication skills. Being able to form these connections help leaders accomplish their goals when teamwork or collaboration is needed. Of course, all these connections can help us to boost the attitude of students and our peers by helping them feel they are an important, integral part of a team or a group. One main skill which we need to look out is encourage risk taking. Leaders tend to be more on the cautious side and avoid taking risks as much as possible. Effective leaders are one who aren't afraid of to take risks when needed, such as when coming up with a long-term objective or a brainstorming ways to achieve smaller goals. As teachers, we should be willing to think outside the box in order to come up with a new or an unusual ways to tackle problems. They also encourage others to take risks in order to accomplish goals and improve one's performance. As teachers, we are also supposed to be data driven. When we work in a higher educational institution, we always are expected to evaluate data for projects or develop plans to achieve our goals and objectives. This is why it is important for us as leaders in higher education to be comfortable taking on to a data-driven approach. Because once we start focusing on data, we are able to get into the insights and understand the problems or issues that a class or a department or even the institution in general may face. So these quality will help us to analyze in order to improve their academic performance of the students or to improve the methodology of teaching or maybe to solve an issue which is burning inside an institution. We should all have or cultivate the quality of tolerance. As a leader in a higher education institution, often means to have to take tough decisions. We all of us come across some sort of situation where we are not given all the information what is required to take decisions. As good leaders in the teaching profession, we should be able to tolerate this grayness and handle decision making better. If any sort of information comes across to us, we should be able to handle that effectively, through that modify our decisions as and when needed, which will inculcate the quality of flexibility as an important concept, which will help others to lead successfully in their own domain. We should also develop the quality of empowering our colleagues. As teachers and leaders in an institution, we are not greedy behind harnessing or garnering power or authority. In fact, as leaders, we should be willing to empower our own colleagues as they can understand better. This will ultimately benefit the institution as such and trying to improvise on what's the best for the institution as you progress in your growth. As teachers, we play numerous roles. I think the slide has gone upside down. I would read it for you. Teachers play several important roles in the context of education, both in the classroom and in the places beyond the extent. These roles contribute to the overall success and the growth of the institution and the broader community. A teacher plays a role of an educational leader who is responsible for imparting knowledge and skills to students. A teacher also plays a role of a curriculum developer who constantly designs and develops the curriculum, selecting the required books, creating lesson plans wherein we showcase our extraordinary talent of identifying the best and trying to shape the students based on their educational experience. A teacher also plays a role of a mentor or a coach wherein they try to offer guidance and support in academic and personal development. Today, mentorship is considered as an essential role which every teacher in a higher education institution has to do to help students navigate challenges and make informed decisions about their education and career path. Not only mentoring, we are also role models. These role models will definitely help students to acquire, imbibe important values such as integrity, perseverance, and a love for learning. This will enhance the students to follow both academic and personal lives. We are actually an advocate for students, ensuring that their needs are constantly and we also based on uh, based on their they try to the based on their requirements. Innovator, teacher, innovator, innovator. Constantly updated technology. Innovative teaching methods and technologies, wherein we also experiment new pedagogical approaches, incorporate the latest technology into the classroom, and adapt teaching strategies to meet the changing needs of the students, the diverse change, the evolving change of the students. We also work as a collaborator, which is very essential because teamwork always pays the result. As teachers and as leaders in higher educational institutions, we closely work with our own colleagues in a department or across the discipline to develop effective teaching strategies. We also sometimes push to share resources, thereby enhancing the learning experience for students. Community engagement is also another added role which today's teachers played very effectively. These teachers help the students to engage in the local community by forging partnerships with organizations, businesses, and community leaders, help them to understand and have a connect with the students so that they learn valuable insights and they come across numerous opportunities and tap all the resources to the maximum extent possible. We are also supposed to play a role in professional development as we seek to best and we try to empower ourselves with continuing education, attending workshops, stay current and with research, and practice the best practices in the field. Data-driven decision making, I told you already. Crisis management is one area where our role is very crucial. Sometimes there are some natural disasters or public health emergencies. Teachers often take leadership roles in ensuring safety and well-being of their institute students and providing a continuity of education. Cultural competency and inclusivity is also a pivotal role which a teacher has to play in sensitizing the inclusivity and cultural platforms learning environment. We should also promote diversity, fostering an atmosphere where all students feel valued and respected. Out of all the qualities, last but not the least quality, which is very vital as teachers in higher education institution, is that we act as a change agent. Teachers are catalysts for positive changes within their educational institutions and in other outstanding institutions. We identify the areas where there is a need for improvement And we also try to work collaboratively with our own colleagues and administrators to implement change. So this is a predominant quality which many of us do, and we are practicing it over a period of time. We shall just look out for these leadership styles which we belong to, and we are trying to embrace the other leadership style. It is not a constant that we adopt one particular style and we are focusing on it. As a teacher and a leader in a higher education institution, we try to adopt either of these skills as and when it is required, and to improvise on our system to make it more comfortable for the students, and to maybe like to make the institution proud. Different situations and challenges in higher education system requires different leadership styles. While we spend most of our time in the job, we cannot use one style, and we cannot get others to use the same style what we are adopting. We have to, based on the situation and the circumstances, we have to switch between the styles, which is very needed as a part of an effective and a successful leader. There are several leadership styles in education. To just give you a few, we are trying to discuss the common leadership styles which can be adopted. Most of us, I'm sure, we are following it, we are imbibing it and embracing it. These are the few leadership styles which we are advocating. Transformational leadership. Collaboration and inspiration are the keys to practicing transformational leadership. The study involves a heavy emphasis on teamwork. As teachers, we are supposed to collaborate and work together as a team and try to motivate others and provide ways how they can be empowered. When we use transformational leadership style, we need to have an excellent communication skill and be comfortable in aiming for higher results and by fixing, say, a higher goal or an objective. This leadership style will help us to help others grow and simultaneously encourage people to work better as a team and develop mutual respect and trust for each other. When we speak about instructional leadership, it is a natural fit for all of us because we are teachers basically. We try to instruct, we try to help students to improve based on their performance in the classroom. This is one common thing which all of us have got it inherent as teachers. We are able to identify the areas of improvement for students and teachers and colleagues to help them accomplish this through training, tutoring, or any other method which will help them to be successful. Another important style which all of us have to embrace is emotional leadership. Emotional leadership involves using emotional intelligence to understand the feelings and emotions of people you are responsible for inside an organization. This leadership style requires us to identify the emotion in others and help them towards goals or make them improvements in their academic work or professional work as they require. This leadership style also helps us to know how effectively we are able to motivate students or teachers or our own colleagues based on their emotions. Emotional leadership also requires an outstanding communication skill that you will be able to put it across to the other person in achieving their goals or their performance at work. As leaders, if at all you are a part of business departments or teaching administration, strategic leadership is one evolving leadership style which comes into handy when we are determining the short-term or long-term goals of an educational institution. This style puts a strong emphasis on analyzing or evaluating performances in the institution or in your own classrooms by setting standards. The evaluations which are done will help us to determine whether our planning has been done in the right way. As strategic leaders in higher education institutions, we should be able to think out of box and evaluate a wide range of data to develop goals and objectives on a large scale basis. This style in education is useful at times when we need not put much efforts on a day-to-day basis or on a day-to-day issues or tasks. Authoritative leadership, as all of you know and all of us have seen, is typically required when we ensure that we are following strict norms and policies. We normally focus on this style very less because this is not collaborative. This is not having an emotional connect. This leadership style is normally or widely used where we need to set shorter objectives and goals or reach something as a larger goal or an objective. So an authoritative leader emphasizes heavily on supervision and delegating tasks rather than encouraging a more collaborative approach. So to an extent, we should see to it that we are not widely emphasizing on this leadership style and practicing it, as there is a need for a lot of improvement and development in authoritative leadership style. We shall try to understand the importance of leadership in higher education. We all possess many different skills of leaders. Why do we need to have leaders in an educational institution? As a leader, you provide resources to your colleague. You help your colleagues to implement teaching strategies. You help in developing the curriculum, which is useful for the students. You support your students in the classroom by demonstrating or observing or providing feedback. As a learning facilitator, you're constantly updating yourself and helping your colleagues to groom themselves and become very focused in a classroom environment. There's a need for leadership because you are a mentor for different students, different teachers, and you need to be the best version of it. You need to sit on different committees, act as a chair or act as a head for different programs and positions wherein you need to bring out the quality of a leader. You need to guide somebody, facilitate somebody. Sometimes you need to act as a catalyst, and sometimes it is useful for you itself as an individual learner for a constant improvement. So putting all these things together, there is a real need for leadership and teachers to be leaders in a higher education institution. Now, continuing with that, these are the main qualities one should possess as a teacher and a leader in a higher education sector. Try to respect colleagues and supervisors. Understanding the institution's culture. Try to be a person who is trustworthy. Please be open for views and ideas. Never be judgmental. Never be non-threatening. Try to respond positively, actively to your own peers. Try to get frequent feedbacks for our own improvisation. Try to attract new ideas and methodologies so that these qualities will enhance your leadership role in an higher educational institution. Now, how do you do this? There's a process of developing it. It is not that easy. There are numerous books available, which if we go through, we get wide insights. You have a book on leadership without easy answers. You have a book on teacher leadership, which speaks about the numerous processes over a period of time, how it takes for a teacher to get him or herself groomed as a leader in a higher education institution. One such article which I had come across is The Dawn of a System Leadership by Peter Senge discusses the various leadership qualities, and he says there's a need for a process to cultivate these qualities. This is an inspiration for many of us to understand how do you develop, how do you find these qualities in a teacher. Walking the talk is a basic leadership quality where all of us celebrate doing things correctly, and we as teachers should not preach but should practice. We have to be role models in the sense where we try to do what we taught. There are situations where effective leaders have gone all out of a way to encourage talented teachers to bring them the limelight by creating a very big mark in the lives of an individual. Try to be away from the institution's politics. The human mind has got something to do with politics, and that is a very negative approach. Maybe it is from the management side or from the classroom point of view or from the colleagues' point of view. In case you see there's an evidence of this politics happening, try to consciously move away from that, not getting yourself involved, and see to it you are putting your best efforts to merit and you get the things done. Enveloping collective consciousness to all students. As a teacher, we should be like the Shah Rukh Khan of Chadde, trying to motivate students frequently. Today's children have got a lot of distractions. The electronic media and the informational era has bombarded them with numerous informations. We should be able to help them filter what is required and what is not required for them. And for that, you need to create a personal rapport with these students, trying to make them understand what is that they are supposed to follow and imbibe in this span of education. Trying to coordinate with them, cooperate with them, try to consciously develop a connect with them and help them to understand what is best for them. Try to put in the concept of sincerity. Try to help them to understand what talents they possess, which all areas they are excelling. A teacher should be consciously mark the ability to get feedback and to understand we will grow and the individual will be able to understand where he or she stands and what could be the contribution he or she will be able to give to the society at large. Before I conclude, I just wanted to tell you about this 7 conditions for a teacher leadership. This was something which was copied down from the Western countries, where there's a philosopher called Berry. He advocates on this. He says these are the 7 conditions required for a teacher to be a leader. To promote teacher leadership, he says these are the 7 qualities which should be present, which should be there in every teacher of a higher educational institution. The 7 domains which has been identified gives us a comprehensive understanding, a framework for how a teacher has to get themselves imbibed with all these qualities. The first one being a vision and a strategy for leadership. We all have goals and objectives with which we work. We have to be very clear with what is that we are progressing. Our objectives and goals have to have clarity, and that should be task oriented and target oriented. We should be able to be a part of the long term vision which the institution has. A supportive administration is very much essential for teachers to become prospective leaders, because without the support of an administration, teachers cannot exercise power, exercise authority. So educational programs, leadership programs focusing on the teachers' quality, improving teachers' leadership skills have to be frequently conducted, so that that enables the teacher to come out of that particular shell and try to prove as able administrators too. As an institution, you need to have human and physical resources. There's a lot of need for resources, plenty of resources for an educational institution to survive and sustain. Today, if you see the top performing nations across the globe, they spend the major chunk in the educational development, because they feel there's a lot of things to be done in this arena, so that now the teachers of today will be able to take it forward to make students sensible, to compete with global students, global fellow makers across their domain, to work in a structure which authenticates collaboration. There is no working more in silos. People have to tend to collaborate. Creative, out of box thinking is required. Try to understand and support each other. Only then the sense of strong collaboration will take place, will lead to a synergy of success, will lead to maybe like say an astounding success, because when people collaborate, the team role plays a vital, important component which leads to the success of an education institution. To be very supportive with social norms and working relationships. The commitment what we have with our students and our colleagues are to be often remembered. Even though we are teachers, the policymakers will always give you a different way of motivation. But our role as teachers and as leaders is to help people understand the commitment what we have with the generation who's in front of us, to educate them with well ethical values, moral values, and help them to be successful over a period of time. There should be always a blurred role. See, a role given by a management which will require a lot of professionalism. It could not be always monetized. Sometimes it would be a way where we try to help people, try to help the institution come up, which cannot be quantified as a monetary input. A teacher should be able to go beyond that level and help, not connecting every activity she does, which cannot be monetized. This is one main role or condition is required as teachers. Students have to be provided the best and best inputs. So teachers should appreciate driving questions from different corners, which will enable them to think out of box, will enable them to learn continuously, will enable them to improve their performances. So there should be a habit of encouraging inquiry system where students automatically pose questions to teachers, thereby you learn and lead them, and thereby you become a successful expertise in your own profession. So these are some sort of inputs which I just wanted to share. It is not something which I've got it on my own. These are some information which are available on the web also, with due respect to all those people who had brought in all these ideas. We are trying to collate all these ideas and see to it that we are imbibing or practicing all these ideas in our day-to-day life to become a successful teacher leader. Thank you.